Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. The good people of Glasgow will be relieved to know that the Cycling World Championship that took place there last month only cost them £42 million. All this so some men who like to shave their legs can go whiz on a bicycle. Meanwhile, a lot of businesses lost money, footfall was reduced, some businesses couldn't even open. The roads were blocked and there seemed to be very, very few people actually interested in the event. Surely it would have been better to do it somewhere that wasn't the middle of a massive city and wouldn't have caused nearly as much problems as it did. Not to say, of course, that £42 million of taxpayers' money is a drop in the ocean, especially for a country whose budget has got a £1 billion black hole. It strikes me that this was less about cycling and more about egos in the SNP. Look how important they are. Look how they can host world events. It's all a circle jerk for these people, isn't it? At public expense, of course. It's not going to be a free circle jerk. You're expected to pay for it. But of course that £42 million wasn't what was budgeted. Oh no, not by a long mark. That's how bad it is. They even went over budget on bikes. Let's have a look. So Angus Robertson, a man who has obviously never been on a bike, blasted after confessing that Glasgow Cycling World Championships went £8 million over budget. And the Scottish Government's Culture Secretary is facing growing questions over his axing of £6.6 million from Creative Scotland's budget while paying over budget for the Cycling World Championships, when you can only spend people's money once. It takes you more time to steal it from their pockets in various different ways. Of course, this is why they're constantly looking at costs for this, charges for that, raising taxes elsewhere, because these people can do nothing properly. Now we're talking about this World Championship cycling thing. You know, we're going to have to look at this whole chain of events just to see what sort of crap they're peddling. I will stop. But you know, soon. We'll just get into top gear with this and get going. Under fire, Culture Secretary Angus Robertson has been blasted after confessing that Glasgow Cycling World Championships went £8 million over budget, with the Scottish Government supplying the shortfall. This admission came a week after he went back on a promise not to cut £6.6 million from the Creative Scotland budget. So basically what's happened is Glasgow have paid, we want to pay this, and they'll have paid all this money out to host this event. Glasgow now, not Scotland, Glasgow, just the city. It's gone over budget, and so the Scottish Government have had to step in and make up the difference. And of course they've done that and they've gone, we spent £8 million over, what are we going to do? We'll just take it from that budget over there. After all, that's not as important as it is for the SNP-led Glasgow Council to look important on the world stage. We don't want to actually sort out all the services that need to be sorted out. We don't care about people. We don't care about social care. But hey, look, entitled wankers that fart their way through life on the back of a bike, they have to be catered for. Anyway, cyclists from around the world descended on the capital back in August, but the cost of it soared to around £60 million, with the majority of this funded by the SNP executive. And now Mr Robertson confirmed that the cash-strapped government had to fork out about £42 million for the competition from an original £36 million budget. So that is a lot of difference, isn't it? It's led to criticism from an ex-nationalist MSP who pointed out that the vast spend was only beneficial for Glasgow and nowhere else. Joe McAlpine said, "What did this event do for our economy?" Well, nothing. It took money right out of the economy. It took public money out that could be spent elsewhere. And of course, all those problems you had with it cost people as well. It destroyed the economy. In Dumfries, roads were closed. Businesses driving businesses away from small shops. There seemed to be more stewards than spectators. People make Glasgow signs sung absurdly over the River Nith. Businesses throughout Glasgow also complained about the huge drop in footfall as swathes of the city centre were shut off to allow a cyclist to take part in a competition. Some, like Tantrum Donuts, were forced to shut entirely due to being unable to access their shop. This has cost people money. This has cost them their livelihoods. So that these entitled tossers who can sit there and go, oh look, I'm not taking illegal substances, munch, just so I can whittle my way around on a push bike. SNP ministers boasted about the sporting event and attended a number of lavish receptions involving it. Of course they did. Quaff the champagne, munch the caviar. It's all at public expense. This is where your £60 million has gone. Hasn't gone on, bikes, has it? It's gone on the lavish receptions. The UCI Cycling World Championship are a great example of how mega events like this can showcase our cultural diversity, boost accessibility and extend a warm welcome to all communities. I'm going to take issue with the cultural diversity. Whenever you look at a picture of cyclists, I'm going to tell you now they're 99% white. Hardly culturally diverse, is it? He was forced to defend the cut to Creative Scotland at Thursday's Culture Committee at Holyrood, as claimed it would have zero detriment on arts organisations, which is clearly a lie. He's just taken 6.6 million away from them. This year, he said, we saw funding from the Scottish Government and partners to help deliver the 2023 UCI Cycling World Championships. How about these cycling people say, we'd like to hold this event in your city, and the city says, sure, how much are you going to pay us? That would change the outlook, wouldn't it? Yeah, you can come here, but you'll have to pay us 20 million. We haven't got 20 million. Well, there you go. Sod off then. Who's going to host this stuff? Anyway, he said it helped promote the health and well-being benefits of cycling and drive the wider economic and social benefits across Scotland. It's clearly bullshit. These guys are on so much you-know-what to get themselves up there and fit. Is that good for your health and well-being? I don't think so. And what benefits of cycling? Shutting down whole sways of the city? Don't think so. That's not beneficial, is it? He said it drives wider economic and social benefits. Yeah, when people can't go to work or get across the town to go to the doctors or the hospitals because you've closed roads. Marvellous. Brilliant. Socially aware. It sounds to me as though Angus Robertson was just in it for the champagne and caviar and the look at me, I'm a very important person. He's a tit. Anyway, due to increased costs, including inflation, the total funding is in the process of being finalised. Final costs will be confirmed in due course, but in the order of 8 million over budget. Government funding for the event prior to its completion was delivered through our major events budget, he said, but since the event's conclusion, any additional funding that may be required will be managed centrally. In other words, they don't even know how much more it's cost. Well, it doesn't matter because you are going to pay for it, not them. It's ridiculous, isn't it? These people sit there in a world of their own creation going, look at me, I'm so important. Look at me as I bestride the world stage. People are looking at you, Angus Robertson, and they're just saying a fat lazy oaf who sits there and quaffs and drinks and eats at other people's expenses. That's when your fat arse isn't on a plane travelling the world at other people's expenses. My God, you'd have a totally different life if it was coming out of your pocket, wouldn't it? Anyway, the revelation was criticised on social media, with critics claiming this was not value for money. Of course it isn't, especially due to Creative Scotland funding cut. Professor Kirsten Rummery wrote, Stirling came to a grinding halt with a huge negative impact on tourism and local businesses, so there could be one pretty shot of a castle. Everyone who's seen Braveheart has already seen this anyway. Scottish Labour culture spokesman Neil Bibby said, if Angus Robertson can't keep promises on culture funding and can't manage his budget, then perhaps he should be getting on his bike. And that's the line I've been waiting for. Nobody, I was wondering who'd say it. Mr. Robertson and Humza Yousaf promised to return the 6.6 million next year, but have already broken a promise to the culture sector about funding. Good Lord, unbelievable, isn't it? Fat Boy and Humza Yousaf telling tall tales and lying about finances. Who'd have thunk it? Go off, Angus. Go on, get on a plane, quaff your champagne at 30,000 feet, and don't give us a second thought, you oaf. He's uncultured, he's a Philistine and a pig. Anyway, I'll stop there and come up. Of course, the worst of it isn't really the sort of quaffing the champagne and eating the caviar bollocks. It's the lies. It's the blatant lies. They stand there and they just open their mouths and you can see the lies coming out of them. Oh, we're going to benefit that. Oh, it's been a huge benefit there. No, it clearly hasn't. Stop lying, you ignorant fat Philistine. I've got to be careful. I was about to say something very, very rude then, and I won't, because YouTube would have me off YouTube as quick as you like. So I shall just call him a Philistine. I think that's good enough for him. But he is, isn't he? We all know what he is. But it's the lies. But, you know, what do you do? What do you do? They just need to feel important because they've got very tiny penises. And they need to sort of feel important. Look at me, look at me. I'm not a failure in life. Yeah, you're in the SNP, mate. You're a failure. Anyway, I shall stop there. Thank you very much for watching. If you like what you're seeing here on the channel, please hit the subscribe button. Please help the channel grow. Please allow me to keep sitting here and slagging off these liars, these criminals, these cowards and these degenerate perverts. Because I love it. The SNP is just absolutely filled with them. There's so few of them that are in actual way decent human beings. They're very few and far between, aren't they? Anyway, until next time, stay safe, stay well, and on your bike, Angus. On your bike. Bye.